Hollister, California, as I watched the 2017 Jeep Compass Trailhawk before me start down Truck Hill. I began to wonder if I ought to have stopped because of the outhouse before heading for that trails. The Compass turned sharply, dropped its left front wheel into a rut, lifted its right rear paw high into the air, and pointed its rump for the sky. Then it dropped just like an elevator and disappeared from my sight. A gentleman in a very Jeep jacket pointed at me ominously. "You're next," he explained. Jeep had brought a smaller group of hacks over to the Hollister Hills off-road area in Northern California to remind us how the all-new Compass is often a proper Jeep, apparently deciding the most expedient technique of doing this was to deliver us down a hill steep enough to evacuate the bowels of the most hardcore off-roader. It seems a wise move, given that few people evaluate the outgoing Compass to become a proper SUV, not to mention a proper Jeep. Surely, that you are familiar together with the Compass, the second-to-last remnant on the bad old days at Chrysler, it can be a not distant enough relative from the horror Dodge caliber. Together with its smaller and slightly inferior sibling, the Patriot, it comprises the low end from the Jeep lineup, as well as the two of them sell like hotcakes. Jeep moved in excess of 192,000 Compasses and Patriots in 2016, about half the annual sales in the market-leading Honda CR-V. Keep in mind that those two forgettable vehicles are some with the oldest vehicles in Fiat Chrysler's American lineup. That should provide you with some indication from the demand for cheap Jeeps. The all-new 2017 Jeep Compass represents a shuffle within the Jeep lineup, which is no longer the cut-rate Jeep. Instead, it slots involving the Renegade along with the Cherokee, using the former overtaking as Jeep's entry-level SUV. The Patriot will die without one. Will head over to its funeral. Between the Cherokee plus the Renegade, Jeep has pretty much convinced me they will make their transverse engine platforms rock crawl using the best of them. Like its siblings, 4x4 Compasses possess a 4-mode all-wheel drive system: auto, snow, sand and mud. The Trailhawk I drove adds a rock-crawling mode, hill descent control, a small range using a 20-to-1 crawl ratio, and chinless bumpers that improve approach and departure angles. Given the Compass' tendency to lift a wheel over uneven terrain, an impartial suspension only provides so much wheel articulation. It depends on the brakes to seize any spinning wheels. Airborne you aren't, which forces the differential to send out power for the other side in the axle. Jeep says this tends to happen in as small as 1/8th of your wheel revolution if the system is in rock mode. As an off-roader, the brand new Compass works exceptionally well. Community as a new style of off-road driving than one might employ inside a Wrangler. I learned to off-road on old-school 4x4s, put it in gear, allow clutch in as fast as you can, then put feet flat onto the floor and allow machinery perform work. I still remember a gruff northern Englishman instructing me on my own first steep descent: "Don't touch the gas, don't touch the clutch, along with God's sake, don't touch the brakes." In the Compass, the methodology is gas it and go. When forward motion ceases, you allow it more accelerator, then wait for a AWD system to see where the traction is. It may take the Compass a second to get its footing, nevertheless it always may seem to march forward. Whether it doesn't, you merely feed in a very little more throttle. It's so excellent that you may easily your investment engine is installed sideways. We put hill descent control towards the test with a pair of steep inclines, such as the aforementioned Truck Hill, a deceptively innocent-looking drop which the OHV maps mark as difficult, as with it is hard to reconcile the actions of any sane person with that regarding someone happy to drive all the way down the side of your sandy mountain. Gas it a bit if this gets squirrely, advised the man within the Jeep jacket, but squirrely was not ever a problem. The Compass kept its footing and tiptoed along the hill. A Range Rover couldn't have inked the job any benefit. Personally, I'm really impressed for the engineering brainpower that may get such credible off-road performance from this kind of humble mechanical bits. Either that, or perhaps the rest from the automotive market is just really, really lazy. From an engineering perspective, the revolutionary Compass is in fact what you would expect. It is in accordance with the same small wide platform because Renegade, Cherokee, and Fiat 500X, its suspension employing McPherson struts in the beginning and Chapman struts, basically McPherson's without steering capability, out back. Design-wise, the Compass draws strongly about the baby Grand Cherokee theme of that predecessor. The shark fin D-pillar is really a nice little nod towards the outgoing Compass. Inside, the Compass uses roughly precisely the same dashboard layout because the Renegade, even though it takes itself a lot more seriously. Soft touch materials and high-quality trim pervade, where there are fewer playful details, even though whole shebang doesn't feel quite as high-zoot because the Cherokee. The Compass is concerning half a foot more than the Renegade, using a corresponding improvement in rear seat legroom and cargo space. The US market Compass incorporates Fiat Chrysler's 2.4-liter Tiger Shark engine tuned for 180 horsepower and 175 pounds-feet of torque. Automatic 4x4s get Chrysler's much maligned ZF-sourced 9-speed, while front drivers receive a 6-speed. Like the Renegade, the Compass can also be head, which has a 6-speed manual in a choice of 4x2 or 4x4 form. Praise be. All in the Compasses I drove were 4x4s together with the 9-speed automatic, and acceleration felt just okay, not sluggish, not particularly quick, but definitely noisy. Chrysler is continuing to tweak the 9-speed transmission, along with the Jeep engineers present at our press preview repeatedly reminded us that individuals were driving pre-production vehicles that have been still being calibrated. For the most part, the transmission behaved about and also it ever does. Upshifts were prompt, otherwise always smooth, but part throttle downshifts required very deliberate prodding with the accelerator. EPA fuel economy estimates go as high as 23-30 seconds mile per gallon city, highway for your manual front driver, along with the automatic 4x4s I drove are rated at 22-30. Along with all the Sport, Latitude, and Limited models, the Compass comes from the aforementioned Trailhawk edition, which comes that has a raised ride height, more aggressive tires, as well as the trademark red toe hooks. Jeep staffers openly acknowledge the irony which the chief spotting feature in their most rugged off-roaders may be the bit you make use of to pull it free when it gets stuck. How could it be on pavement? The Compass road manners, like its design, tend to be mature compared to Renegades. It feels more buttoned down but not quite so playful. I wasn't in love with the steering, because you move off-center, it responds too slowly, then straight away, as being a security guard which has been caught napping. Straight line stability is a useful one, and it turns out the best way they are driving the Compass along the freeway would be to keep your hands from the wheel. I was impressed through the ride. The amplitude reactive dampers that this Jeep engineers bragged about go about doing work. The suspension refused for being distracted by reviewing the assigned duties. Instead of even badly broken pavement could disturb the suspension's power to absorb impacts smoothly. Handling, like acceleration, is simply okay. The Compass grips nicely and controls body motions well, however it carves the corners without much joy, as whether it was closing its eyes and contemplating England. It should not be a surprise that Jeep has priced the Compass right involving the Renegade plus the Cherokee. The basic Sport 4x4 lists for $22,090, including a $1,095 destination fee, along with the limited 4x4 costs $30,090 plus options. The Latitude and Trailhawk models fill the spaces together. That seems as being a fair price for the get. Nonetheless, it might be a bit of any shock to buyers employed to $20,000 Compasses and $18,000 Patriots. The cheapest Jeep is actually the entry-level Renegade, which lists for $18,990. The two Compasses will exist side by side, at the very least for a while. Jeep intentions to sell the old and new models as 2017 models, and in what way much confusion you think that will cause? Make sure you get the newest one, if you are able to tell them apart. Just lower a steep, sandy, rutted hill. If you make it towards the bottom without wrecking the vehicle or soiling yourself, you've got the correct 2017 Jeep Compass. 2017 Jeep Compass specifications on sale spring 2017 price $22,090 engine 2.4 liters dock 16i4 180th horsepower at 6,400 revolutions per minute, 175 pounds to feet at 3,900 revolutions per minute transmission 6-speed manual, 6-speed automatic, FWD, 9-speed automatic, 4WD layout 4-door, 5-passenger, front engine, FWD/4WD SUV EPA mileage 22, 23, 28 to 30 miles per gallon, city/highway LXWXH 173.0 by 73.8 by 64.6 in wheelbase 103.8 in weight 3,184 to 3,633 pounds 0 to 60 miles per hour N, a top speed N, A.